Life has a strange way of teaching us lessons through a glowing screen. It's 2 a.m. in your apartment, and you're spiraling through a feed of perfect lives while feeling utterly exhausted. You see their wins, their highlights, and suddenly your own progress feels invisible. But here's the paradox. The more you grasp for that digital validation, the further you drift from real peace. What if I told you this envy isn't your enemy, but your greatest opportunity to reclaim your power? If you stay until the end, you'll discover a perspective that sets you free. To understand why we feel so drained, we have to look at the world we've built around us. We live in an era that worships the hustle, from the glass skyscrapers of Manhattan to the sprawling tech campuses of Silicon Valley. The message is loud and clear. If you aren't constantly moving, constantly achieving, and most importantly, constantly being seen, then you are falling behind. We've turned the American dream into a digital race, a 24/7 performance where the stage is your 5-inch screen and the audience is a group of people you barely know. Think of it as a modern-day Roman arena. Centuries ago, gladiators would step onto the sand, fighting for the roar of the crowd, risking everything for a thumb pointed up or down. Today, the arena is virtual, but the stakes feel just as high. Every time you post, every time you scroll, you are stepping onto that sand. You aren't just a spectator anymore. You've become a participant in a game where the currency is attention and the cost is your sanity. But here is the kai bui ngit li, the paradox trap. These platforms were built with the promise of connection. They told us we'd be closer to our friends, more informed about the world, and more linked than ever before. Yet, the more we connect online, the more isolated we feel in reality. We spend hours interacting with avatars and highlight reels, while the person sitting right next to us at a Starbucks feels like a stranger. We are starving for real intimacy, while stuffing ourselves with digital junk food. The truth is, we have become voluntary slaves. We've allowed a red notification dot to dictate our heart rate. We've given Silicon Valley engineers the power to decide how we feel about our own lives before we've even gotten out of bed in the morning. You see a peer posting about their new promotion, their perfect vacation in Amalfi, or their effortless fitness journey, and suddenly your own quiet, steady progress feels like a failure. You start to spiral. You begin grasping for a version of success that isn't even yours, clinging to an image that doesn't exist. The real power lies in recognizing that the enemy isn't the app on your phone. It's not the algorithm, and it's certainly not the person posting their win. The real struggle is internal. It is the way we have allowed our internal compass to be recalibrated by external noise. We are so busy looking at everyone else's map that we've completely lost sight of our own path. We've become so obsessed with the view of our life that we've forgotten to actually live it. Trust me, I've seen this cycle break even the strongest minds. It's a frustrated struggle that leads to nowhere. We think that by checking one more time, by posting one better photo, we will finally feel enough. But the arena never closes, and the crowd is never fully satisfied. So, I want you to stop and ask yourself a very honest, perhaps uncomfortable question. Are you actually living your life right now? Or are you just playing the lead role in a movie produced for the entertainment of others? Are you the master of your attention, or is the arena floor the only place you feel alive? Because once you realize that the gates to this arena are actually unlocked, you'll see that the only thing keeping you inside is your own desire to be cheered for. It's time to reclaim your focus. It's time to stop fighting for likes and start living for yourself. Now, let's talk about how the Stoics would handle this. Now, let's talk about the foundation of all Stoic wisdom and how it applies to the pocket-sized world we carry everywhere. Centuries ago, A man named Epictetus was born into slavery. He had no control over his body, his status, or his master. Yet, he became one of the most influential thinkers in history because he discovered a simple, life-altering truth. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. He called this the dichotomy of control. In his view, your opinions, your intentions, and your own actions are yours. Everything else, your reputation, what people think of you, and the way the world moves, is not. Fast forward to today. We have replaced the whims of ancient masters with the whims of digital algorithms. We spend our days obsessing over metrics that we simply do not own. Have you ever felt that sinking feeling in your stomach when a post you worked hard on fails to get likes? Or that surge of anxiety when you see your follower count drop? That is the sound of you handing over your peace of mind to a line of code written in an office thousands of miles away. You are trying to control the uncontrollable. To understand how to break this cycle, imagine you are a rower trying to cross a vast, unpredictable ocean. The ocean represents the digital world, the algorithms, the trends, and the ever-changing opinions of strangers. The storm can kick up at any moment. The waves might push you forward, or they might try to pull you under. Now, a frustrated rower tries to control the ocean. They scream at the waves, they exhaust themselves trying to flatten the water with their oars, and they spiral into despair when the wind doesn't blow in their favor. This is exactly what we do when we refresh our feeds. Desperate for validation, we are trying to muscle the ocean into submission. But a Stoic rower knows better. They understand that they have zero power over the tide or the tempest. So, where does their power lie? It lies in the way they grip the oars. It lies in the strength of their back, the focus in their eyes, and the integrity of their boat. They focus entirely on rowing, as well as they possibly can. If the storm comes, they adjust their sails. If the water is calm, they keep their rhythm. Their success isn't defined by whether they reach the shore by noon. It's defined by the fact that they rowed with excellence, regardless of what the ocean did. The truth is, your like count is the ocean. The follow button is the wind. You can influence them, sure, but you can never, ever control them. When you tie your happiness to these external numbers, you are choosing to be a victim of the storm. You are clinging to a shadow. The real power lies in reclaiming your focus and bringing it back inside your own circle. So, how do we practice this in the real world? How do we row our digital boat with Stoic grace? First, you must redefine what winning looks like. Stop asking, "How many people like this?" and start asking, "Did I express my truth? Was I disciplined in my craft? Did I provide value?" If the answer is yes, then you have already succeeded, even if the algorithm ignores you. Second, practice the art of post and ghost. Put your work out into the world with the best of intentions, then put the phone away. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your attention. When you stop grasping for the approval of the masses, you become untouchable. You move from a state of frustrated struggle to an effortless flow. You realize that you don't need 1,000,000 people to tell you that you're worthy because you've already decided it for yourself. Remember this, the algorithm controls what you see, but it can never control how you feel. That privilege belongs to you alone. Now, let's move on to the next lesson, where we face the ticking clock of our own lives. Let's address the ghost that haunts every modern mind, FOMO, the fear of missing out. It's that nagging, itchy sensation in the back of your skull that tells you everyone is at a better party, everyone is making more money, and everyone is living a more vibrant, meaningful life than you are. We've become obsessed with what I call the virtual timeline, that infinite, bottomless scroll of other people's highlights. We stay up late, eyes burning, heart rates elevated, just to make sure we haven't missed a single beat of someone else's existence. We feel that if we look away for just a moment, the world will move on without us, leaving us behind in the dust of our own ordinary lives. But the Stoics had a brutal, beautiful antidote for this, and it's called memento mori. Remember that you must die. Now, I know that sounds heavy. In our modern culture, we spend billions of dollars trying to ignore the end. We hide from it, we use filters to mask it, and we distract ourselves with noise to forget it. But for the Stoics, the awareness of our mortality wasn't a reason for despair. It was the ultimate tool for clarity. It was the lens that burned away everything trivial and left only what was truly essential. It wasn't about being morbid. It was about being present. Think of your life as a physical hourglass sitting on a table in front of you. Every single one of us has one, but there's a catch. The top is opaque. You can see the sand accumulating at the bottom, the years, the months, the days that have already passed, but you have no idea how much sand is left at the top. It could be decades, or it could be a single grain. Now, imagine that every time you pick up your phone to scroll through a feed of people you don't even like, just to satisfy a sense of envy or curiosity, you are reaching into that hourglass and throwing a handful of your remaining sand into the wind. Every minute you spend in the virtual timeline, comparing your messy, real world behind the scenes to someone else's polished highlight reel, is a minute you are actively stealing from your own life. You are literally trading your finite, irreplaceable heartbeats for a hit of dopamine that leaves you feeling more empty and frustrated than before. This is the real cost of envy. It's not just a bad mood, it's a theft of your most precious resource. The truth is, FOMO is an illusion created by the digital world to keep you grasping. Social media platforms are engineered to look and feel like they are infinite. You can scroll forever. There is always more content, more news, more photos. But your life is the exact opposite. Your life is finite. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. When you truly internalize this, the fear of missing out on a digital trend or a social event starts to look ridiculous. How can you be afraid of missing a notification when you are currently missing your own life? The real power lies in reclaiming your time as your most sacred asset. Envy is a thief that doesn't just take your joy, it takes your time. When you are spiraling into jealousy because someone else got a promotion or a new luxury car, you are not just unhappy, you are wasting the very time you could be using to build your own virtue, your own skills, and your own peace. You are clinging to a shadow while your real life slips through your fingers like water. Trust me, the digital world wants you to believe that everything is urgent. It wants you to feel like you need to be everywhere at once. But memento mori brings you back to the present. It forces you to look at the real life happening right in front of you, the air in your lungs, the people who actually love you, the work that actually matters. It reminds you that this moment is all you ever truly have. So, here is your action step. The next time you feel that FOMO rising, that urge to check your phone, to compare yourself to a stranger, to see what everyone else is doing, visualize your hourglass. See that sand falling. Ask yourself this one question. Is this worth my sand? Is this digital ghost worth trading a piece of my finite existence for? Usually, the answer is a resounding no. Stop clinging to the infinite scroll and start cherishing the finite life. Because the truth is, you don't have time to be envious. You don't have time to be bitter. You only have time to live. You see, we spend so much energy trying to keep up with the digital you, the version of ourselves we project to the world. But that version is just a mask. And that brings us to a deeper truth about the roles we play and the masks we wear. Are you afraid of missing a notification, or are you afraid of missing your life itself? Let's talk about the mask. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, was no stranger to the grand stages of power. He served in the court of Nero, a place where one's survival often depended on the ability to project an image that was entirely different from the reality beneath. Seneca once wrote that all the world is a stage, and he understood, perhaps better than anyone, that most people are simply playing a part. They are wearing a costume designed to earn the applause of the crowd, while their true selves remain hidden in the shadows. To truly understand the trap we fall into every time we open an app, I want you to imagine a prestigious actor on a Broadway stage here in New York. The lights are blindingly bright. He is wearing a heavy velvet robe and a gold crown. As he delivers his lines, the audience is captivated. He looks like the most powerful man in the world. From your seat in the dark, you might feel a twinge of envy. You see his confidence, his authority, and the thunderous applause he receives. You think to yourself, I wish my life was that grand. I wish I had that kind of power. But the truth is, the moment the curtain falls, that king disappears. He walks back to a cramped, dimly lit dressing room. He peels off the fake beard. He hangs up the velvet robe, which is actually tattered and stained at the edges. He looks at himself in a cracked mirror, and he sees the exhaustion in his eyes. He worries about his mounting debt. He struggles with a failing relationship, and he feels a deep, gnawing sense of loneliness. He isn't a king. He's just a man who is very good at pretending. The problem is that on social media, the curtain never falls. We are living in a society where everyone is an actor, and everyone is their own director. The filter is the makeup. The feed is the stage. When you see someone posting about their luxury lifestyle, their perfect marriage, or their effortless success, you are seeing the king in his velvet robe. You are seeing the performance. But because we only ever see the performance, we make a devastatingly unfair comparison. We compare our messy, complicated backstage to everyone else's front-of-house highlight reel. We see our own bills, our own insecurities, and our own morning mirror reality. And then we look at a filtered photo of a stranger on a beach and feel like we are failing. We are clinging to the illusion that the mask is the person. This is where the spiral of digital envy begins. We start grasping for a mask of our own, thinking that if we can just look as happy as they do, we will finally be at peace. But trust me, the weight of the mask is what causes the most suffering. The effort required to keep the performance going is what leads to that feeling of frustrated struggle. So, how do we break this illusion? How do we practice the wisdom of Seneca in a world that demands we keep our masks on? I want to give you a specific technique I call reframing the filter. The next time you find yourself scrolling and that familiar sting of key of envy starts to rise, I want you to pause. Look at that perfect photo and consciously add the human element back into the frame. Tell yourself, this is a performance. Remind yourself that behind that camera, there is a person who struggles with the same human conditions that you do. They have bad days. They have fears. They have moments where they feel utterly lost. When you see a perfect couple, remind yourself they have arguments. When you see a perfect career, remind yourself of the stress and the sleepless nights. The real power lies in the ability to see through the velvet robe. When you realize that everyone is just an actor trying to find their way in the dark, your envy turns into empathy. You stop needing to compete with an illusion. You reclaim your peace by realizing that the only stage that matters is the one inside your own mind. Now, let's go a step further. It's one thing to see through the masks of others, but it's another thing entirely to learn how to love the unedited, unfiltered reality of your own life. Let's talk about a concept that will change the way you look at every bad day you've ever had. This brings us to a concept that might be the most challenging, yet the most liberating of all: amor fati, a Latin phrase that translates to a love of fate. In our modern world, we are taught to only love the good parts of life. We are told to celebrate the wins, the promotions, and the sunny vacations, while we treat the setbacks, the mundane Mondays, and the quiet struggles as mistakes that need to be edited out. We spend so much energy trying to Photoshop our reality, hoping that if we can just fix enough things, we will finally be happy. But the Stoics understood something deeper. They realized that true peace doesn't come from changing your circumstances, but from changing your relationship with them. Amor fati isn't just about accepting what happens. It's about wishing for it to happen exactly as it does. It's the radical idea that every moment, even the ones that feel messy, boring, or un-Instagrammable, is exactly what you need for your growth. Trust me, the moment you stop fighting against the reality of your life and start embracing it, the weight of the world begins to lift off your shoulders. You stop being a victim of your day and start becoming the master of your soul. To understand this, I want you to visualize an oak tree standing in the middle of a vast American forest. This tree has seen everything. It has survived brutal winters, scorching summers, and terrifying storms that snapped the branches of smaller trees. Now, think about how that oak tree grows. It doesn't spend a single second looking at the pine tree 10 feet away, wondering why it isn't taller. It doesn't look at the maple and feel envious of its vibrant red leaves in the fall. The oak tree doesn't try to be anything other than what it is. Instead, the oak tree focuses all its energy on one thing: dum re thutso, digging its roots deep into the earth. It understands that its strength doesn't come from how it looks compared to the trees around it. Its strength comes from its connection to the ground beneath it. When the wind howls and the rain pours, the oak tree doesn't panic. It doesn't try to edit the storm away. It simply stands. It accepts the rain because it knows the rain provides the water it needs to grow. It accepts the wind because the struggle against the wind is what makes its trunk strong. The tree loves its fate because every part of that fate is part of its life. We are often like a tree that is so obsessed with looking like the perfect tree on a screen that we forget to grow our own roots. We are so busy comparing our height to someone else's career path or our leaves to someone else's lifestyle that we lose our stability. We are clinging to a version of life that doesn't exist, while our real life, the one with the muddy roots and the scarred bark, is waiting to be lived. The truth is, the perfect life you see online is a static image. It has no roots, it has no depth, it cannot survive a storm. But your life, with all its unedited flaws, has the potential for incredible strength if you stop wishing it were different. The real power lies in your ability to say yes to your life right now. Not the life you'll have when you get that promotion, not the life you'll have when you lose 10 pounds, but this life. The one with the cluttered desk, the difficult boss, and the quiet evening alone. When you practice amor fati, you stop the frustrated struggle of trying to force your life into a specific mold. You start to flow with the current of existence. You realize that the bad days are just as necessary as the good ones. They are the friction that builds your character. They are the labor that strengthens your mind. So, how do we practice this today? It starts with a simple shift in language. Instead of saying, "I have to deal with this problem," try saying, "This is exactly what I need right now." Reframe your struggles as training. If someone is rude to you online, see it as an opportunity to practice patience. If you fail at a task, See it as an opportunity to practice resilience. When you stop needing things to go a certain way to feel at peace, you become untouchable. You realize that happiness is not having what others have, but loving what you are doing. Now, let's talk about how to protect this newfound peace from the noise of the world. We have reached a point where silence feels like a threat. We've become so accustomed to the constant hum of notifications, the endless stream of opinions, and the background noise of other people's lives that when the noise stops, we feel a sense of panic. We reach for our phones, not because we have something to say, but because we are afraid of what we might hear in the quiet. This is the ultimate victory of the attention economy. They haven't just taken your time, they've taken your ability to be alone with your own thoughts. The Stoics believed that the greatest sanctuary you could ever visit isn't a mountain or a beach, it's the space inside your own mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." But how can you retreat into your soul when your mind is cluttered with the digital debris of 1,000 strangers? You need to practice what I call noble silence. This isn't just about being quiet, it's about a strategic withdrawal from the noise so you can reclaim your power. Here is how you implement this in a world that never shuts up. First, reclaim your morning. Trust me, the real power lies in the first hour of your day. Most people wake up and immediately hand their focus over to a corporation. They scroll before they've even taken their first breath of the day. Stop. For the first 60 minutes, disconnect. Do not check the news. Do not check your likes. And do not look at what happened while you were asleep. Use that time to anchor yourself. Journal, meditate, or simply sit with your coffee. Reclaim the beginning of your day so you can own the rest of it. Second, disconnect to reconnect. Think of your attention like a fortress. If you leave the gates wide open, anyone can walk in and start a fire. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your home and start screaming their political opinions in your ear, so why do you let them do it through your screen? Set strict digital boundaries. Use Do Not Disturb modes like a shield. Choose specific windows for social media, and when that window closes, lock the gates. When you disconnect from the crowd, you finally give yourself the space to reconnect with your own values. Third, focus on value, not volume. The algorithm wants you to consume as much as possible. It wants you to stay in the loop, fearing that you might miss a trend. But the Stoics understood that most of what happens in the world is beyond our control and, frankly, none of our business. Audit your digital intake. If an account doesn't make you wiser, stronger, or more at peace, delete it. Reclaim your feed. Reclaim your focus. You are the architect of your own information environment. The truth is, the more you seek external noise, the more internal chaos you create. You spend your life reacting to things that don't matter, spiraling into frustration because you are clinging to the opinions of people who don't know you. But when you master your digital environment, you move with a sense of calm and certainty. You stop the frustrated struggle and enter a state of effortless flow. Now, take a moment and let this sink in. Ask yourself this very real question. If tomorrow morning, every social media platform disappeared forever, the likes, the followers, the highlight reels, all of it, how much value would you have left? Would you still know who you are? Would you still be proud of the work you do? The real power isn't in how many people see you, it's in how clearly you see yourself. Once you find that internal value, you no longer need the digital crowd to tell you who you are. This is the strength of the Stoic mind. This is how you win the battle within. Let's wrap this all together. We have traveled a long way today. We started in the quiet, lonely hours of the night, staring at a glowing screen, feeling the weight of a world that seems to be moving faster than we can keep up with. We've looked at the digital arena, where we've been fighting for the approval of strangers. We've pulled back the curtain on the masks we wear and the illusions we chase. But now, as we reach the end of this conversation, the most important question remains: where do you go from here? The truth is, you are standing at a crossroads. You can go back to the way things were, spiraling into envy, clinging to the virtual timeline, and letting the noise of the world drown out your own voice. Or you can choose to step into a different way of living. You can choose to reclaim your power. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled the greatest empire on earth and faced pressures we can barely imagine, once left us a piece of wisdom that is more relevant now than ever. He said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Think about the weight of those words for a second. He didn't say, "Your happiness depends on your bank account, your career status, or how many people know your name." He said, "It depends on the quality of your thoughts." This is the ultimate Stoic secret. Your mind is the only kingdom where you have absolute sovereignty. The algorithm can control what you see, and the world can control what happens to you, but nothing and no one can control how you interpret it. That power belongs to you, and you alone. Imagine you are no longer a gladiator in the arena, bleeding for the thumbs up of a crowd that will forget you by tomorrow. Instead, imagine you are a master architect. Your life is the project. Every time you choose not to compare yourself to a stranger, you are laying a brick. Every time you choose amor fati, loving your real, messy life instead of an edited illusion, you are strengthening the foundation. You are building a sanctuary of character that no digital storm can knock down. Reclaiming your life isn't about deleting every app or moving to a cabin in the woods. It's about changing who holds the rudder. It's about moving from a state of frustrated struggle to a state of effortless flow, where you row your boat with excellence regardless of how the ocean behaves. You are the captain. The sea is the digital noise. You cannot stop the waves, but you can certainly choose which way to point your ship. You have the tools now. You have the dichotomy of control to filter your anxiety. You have memento mori to clarify your time. You have the wisdom of Seneca to see through the masks. Use them. Reclaim your focus. Reclaim your morning. Reclaim your peace. Trust me, the real power isn't in being seen by the world. It's in being truly known by yourself. Life is too short to spend it as a spectator in someone else's highlight reel. It's time to become the master of your own fate. Before we go, I want to say thank you. If you've stayed with me until the end, it shows you're ready for something deeper. If this message gave you a moment of clarity or a sense of peace today, please hit the subscribe button. It's a small way to join a community of people who are choosing to live with intention, and we are truly grateful to have you with us. But remember, understanding these ideas is only the first step. To truly live them, you need the bridge between thought and action. And that bridge is discipline. If you're ready to turn this philosophy into an unbreakable daily routine, you need to see what we have prepared next. Watch our video on the secret of Stoic self-discipline to find out how to stay steady when the world tries to pull you away. I'll see you there.